Hello friends. In this video we are going to see about RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. This is based on database security content in IGNO book, and let us get started. The first thing which we need to know about RDBMS is some terminological terms like relation, domain, tuple, attribute, degree, cardinality. Relation means data aggregated through rows and columns. So whatever data which is there, if it is combined together as a column or a row, then it is combined through a relation. So that column name or the row name, that is known as that relation. Each row and column have different and has data based on that relation. Domain next. So domain is how much the data type, what type of data type. Some data will have integer, some data will have character. So and how much character is allowed, what is the range in which the data can be. So that is comes under domain. Tuple is row of the table, and it is also called as a record of the table. Attribute is column of the table, and degree is total number of attributes of the table. Cardinality, total number of columns in the table. So these are the basic terms. And next we just have a look at the student table and buyer table as an example. So through the there are various types of keys. Primary key is the one which uniquely identifies the row or the column that record. Foreign key relates two or more tables. Buyer ID, like there are two tables here, student table and buyer table. And student ID is the primary key in the student table. Buyer ID is primary key in buyer table. When these two tables are combined together through buyer ID, then buyer ID becomes the foreign key in student table in the combined data. So that if student ID is used in the buyer table, then student ID becomes the foreign key in buyer the combined table, buyer and student table. So this is primary key and foreign key. Primary key is unique. Primary key cannot be duplicate. There cannot be two primary key, two records with the same name, same identification number. There cannot be two records. So primary key is unique, and for primary key is mainly used as a foreign key. And there is also candidate key. Candidate key can also be called as an alternate key. So like primary key, it is also unique attribute, but it will not be defined as such. It is used for as an backup or like as an extra precautionary system in some cases. So if you see in these two tables, if you see, phone number is the alternate key. Phone number in student table can serve as a candidate key, and it is phone number in buyer table is also can also serve as a candidate key. Name can be duplicates. There can be two names with the name Steve Smith or so, but the student ID and the phone number will vary. So that's how these two keys are like that. Like student ID serves as a primary key and phone number as the backup key or the candidate key. Exactly, it may or may not be used. Moving on to the next slide, referential integrity. So referential integrity is the methodology used when foreign keys are used in RDBMS. It ensures that the relationships between records of the related tables are stay intact. They are needed to prevent accidental manipulation or deletion of data of the related tables. So for example, there is a database called a library database management system, LDBMS. So in that library database management system, there can be for example, the customer data can be stored in one table, and the books which the customer is going to buy, it can be stored in another table. So these two tables can be linked together through the customer ID. So when these two, it will be stored as another table, so that we can see the record. The librarian can see the record, like which customer has bought which book. So for that, these two tables can be combined together and stored, and it can be seen by the librarian. So in that case, in order to have this table as such without any without any damage to this table, the records have to be stay intact. The accidentally, the for example, the some data in the consumer table should not get, if it gets affected, it should not affect the purchases which the consumer makes in another table. So for that, the referential integrity checks are there. So some rules are there. Here are some of the rules. No record can be deleted from the primary table if the related record exists in the related table. So this is rule number 1. So for example, if Ram is going to be the consumer and Ram is going to make some purchases in another table, the record, data record or consumer record Ram cannot be deleted from the consumer table, and no change in primary key field is allowed in primary table. So no change in primary key field is like the consumer if it has related records, that is, it is used as a foreign key in another table. So for example, if the consumer Ram is going to make some he's having the primary key as his ID, his identification number is 1.2.3, his identification number. So if it is the case 1.2.3, this 1.2.3 is used as a foreign key in another table. This 1.2.3 cannot be changed. This cannot be changed to 1.2.4. Like if it changes, it is not compulsory that it will change and get changed in the another table where it is combined. The combined table, it will get changed. It is not a necessity. So in order to ensure that this check is being kept, and no foreign key can be assigned a value that is not there in primary table. The primary table spelling is wrong, so I'll just correct it. But no foreign key can be assigned a value that is not there in primary table. Foreign key cannot be altered. Here the primary key value can be 1.2.3, but the foreign key cannot be changed to 1.2.4. These are some referential integrity checks. Next, if we see student table and buyer table, this is the what I explained for the library database management system. I have taken the two tables which I put forth before, and I am just trying to illustrate here for the referential integrity. So student ID is there in student table, buyer ID is there in buyer table. These two are for primary keys. Foreign keys relates to or more tables. Buyer ID is foreign key in student table and primary key in buyer table. When both the tables are combined via buyer ID, the data 1 and 2 in buyer ID cannot be modified either in buyer table or in the combined table. Both the rows cannot be deleted as well in buyer table. These are the rules for referential integrity. So this is simple, and this has been illustrated before, and this is here you can see how it is getting implemented and how it works. And this is entity relationship model, ER model. ER model is fundamentally important for designing databases. So like a ER entity is what is the table names will be most likely the entities. Student, book, those are entities, and the relationship is reads. So student reads a book. So this relationship is there for our understanding. Like it will not be there in the database mostly. So tables could be called as entities in database schema. The relationship is an abstract concept of our understanding. It will not be directly present in the database. While designing a database, the schema diagram is the first. A weak entity does not have a proper primary key. So student will have a student ID. If some other table is there, namely student, some table student 3, student 4, or some other table is there, junk table, or it could be called as a junk table. That's a good example. So junk table may not have any identification number. Junk data will not have any proper identification number. So those that table that entity is not a proper since it does not have a proper primary key, it is a weak entity. So next is like a flow chart. In a ER diagram, there are symbols for database schema. So strong entity will have a rectangle, weak entity will have a double line bordered rectangle. So attributes will be oval shaped, and a multi-valued attribute will be double line bordered oval, and a relationship will be diamond, and a weak relationship will be double line bordered diamond. So if you see the example, here are some the examples how in which the database schema is implemented. So in each case, like the rectangle is going to be the strong entity. So strong entity is going to have some attributes, and it is related to another table which also has some attributes. Through the diamond structure, it is the relationship, and through all these things, all these entities are related through these diamonds that are relationships, and then finally these will get implemented some ways, like here if you see, it is not clear here in this diagram, but some diagram it will be clearly mentioned, like through bold face or some other differentiated color we will be able to identify the primary key. So through that we will be able to identify the primary key, and also, like as we saw, the relationships, weak entities, everything can be identified. Multi-valued attribute, those things can be identified by these diagrams, by these symbols. So these symbols in the first diagram it may not be clear, but in some other diagram it will be clear. So in some other diagram we can also draw the diagram. There are softwares for drawing the ER diagrams, and relational algebra with SQL queries. So how does SQL queries works? So after designing the database, we are creating the tables. So first we will be creating a database, and after drawing the ER schema, we will be creating a database, and then we will be creating tables, and after creating the tables and after implementing the relationship diagrams, we will fill the data in the tables. We will fill the data, and then for getting the data from those tables, these are the queries, some of the queries. So this is how the queries works. Select star from student means it will fetch all the data from the student table. If we ask to fetch only two column names from the student table, then the two column names will get implemented. If two tables are going to have a same column name, then the join operation can be used. There are various types of join. Here the inner join example is used. So select for example student id means from the student table the student id will be fetched. Buyer.name from student means from that table it will be fetched. So here the buyer.name is not directly present in student table, so here we are using inner join. So inner join, how the inner join works is inner join with buyer table on student.phone number equals employee that buyer.phone number. So here employee is wrong, so buyer.phone number. If that is going to get implemented, then the query will work. If the query is wrong, then it will throw an error. We can correct the query as well. There are other types of join as well, and as I mentioned, so select star from student minus select star from buyer means it will fetch the data which is present in the student table minus the data from the buyer table. So there are other operators similar to join and minus. Those operators are exist, not in, etc. So this is how the SQL queries work. Thanks for watching and listening.